Striggs, what really could be the issue, though? I know you said you going back to Super Bowl, you knew he wanted to get paid, and now we're hearing reports that the Niners are willing to pay him and make him one of almost the highest paid receiver in the NFL, possibly, but he's not coming in. Like, what's the deal? Is it just too far gone?
No, I don't think so. Look, I think there's a lot of the stuff that you get now, 8 days out of the draft, is to say, hey, let's push the envelope. We had a Kyler Murray Instagram post that came out the Monday of the combine saying, my client demands to be paid now. He hasn't been paid yet. And with the trade demand, that's like your line in the sand saying, I want out. I think all roads can be fixed and all bridges can be mended. But when you make that trade demand, you go specifically to, in this case, it's been Schefter and Rappaport, but today Jeff Darlington said, I spoke to Deebo directly. We had Deebo's brother posting things yesterday. Like, there's a lot of noise. And when there's a lot of noise, there seems to be an unhappy party, and that seems to be where Deebo's at. I think it could all be rectified if the dollar signs are right. That's the reading that I get. That this isn't simply, I don't like being used as a running back. I think Deebo knows that his value right now is pretty high because of the way they use him. I would add one thing. This is the inside baseball stuff to it. His agent's a very good agent, a guy named Torrey Dandy. Torrey's been doing this stuff for a long time. Torrey also represents Denzel Ward, who just got paid $100 million last week. But he also represents DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, who are in similar boats going into that contract year where they're all second-round picks saying, hey, I want to get paid. Same agent, controlling all of them. Some puppet strings being done here, but hey, it could all work out for his clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because you talked about how there isn't a market because of how good of a running back he is and then wide receiver thing, and it's coming out of how he's being used. Was that ever an issue for Deebo before he was told that he wouldn't be getting a little extra money for his running back services? And then once he was told, no, we're just going to pay you for your wide receiver services, he then came out alongside Torrey Danby and said, actually, if you're not going to pay us for it, then we're not running back anymore. Is that how that happened? Or is it actually like he's pissed off about the amount of touches he's getting at running back? Because he has become a one-of-one type player alongside Cordero Patterson. But the NFC, as the Niners have been running through the NFC, and he's been a part of it. Is that why? Because he's looking to shake up the entire market because he is Deebo Samuel and everybody. Devontae Adams, great wide receiver, incredible wide receiver. Gets the ball out of the backfield, never. Tyreek Hill does get the ball handed off to him every once in a while, but he's not considered a running back. Yeah, it's always out there. Deebo literally is high-end at both of them. So if you're just going to pay him for the highest in the market of what the top wide receivers are paying, then he probably views, well, you're not paying me at all for this other half of the game that I am. And you can see why he'd get pissed off, right? That would be...
I guess. Or you say, what other offensive coordinator and team is featuring you this way that you're getting the rock and we're getting the best use out of you and we're going to make sure that we can maximize your talents. I don't know if anyone would say Deebo Samuel is the route runner that Cooper Kupp or Devontae Adams is. But the way the 49ers used him, and this is also an interesting wrinkle here, the way that Mike McDaniel, who's now the head coach of the Dolphins, helped draw up some of those run plays for him, really maximized not only what Deebo did, but he got the most out of that 49ers offense too. It was a mutually beneficial offensive scheme for both of them. I'd add this. When he got there as a rookie, they started giving him those carries. It was such a revelation that he could do with the ball in his hands that I remember going to the combine in 2020, before the pandemic, after Deebo's first year, going to the combine, or last year, whatever it was, after that first season, and everyone at the combine, I guess it was 2020, it was February 2020.
All the years blend together.
I know everyone's saying like, "Hey, the next it's finding Nemo, it's finding Deebo." Like everyone's looking for the Deebo, and that means the guy who can run the ball. So this wasn't a surprise that like this is what their offensive game plan was. He missed a lot of time in 2020 because of the injury, and then 2021 became this revelation as far as what he does. He is truly a unicorn. So I don't know what the market price is for that if he was to be a pure free agent. I do know there's probably a team or two that'd be willing to give him a first-round pick in this draft for Deebo Samuel.
Well, but we don't have one of those. That's not us, it sounds like. Ian Rappaport basically listed off all the teams that have more than one first-round draft pick this upcoming draft as teams that are potentially looking into them. Who do you think is a potential leader in that thing?
Look, I'd be curious about the Jets, and there's a natural connection because of Mike LaFleur and Robert Saleh. And we know that the Jets were very active in the Tyreek Hill engagement. They don't only have the 4th pick, they have the 10th pick. They also have the 34th pick. So if the Jets were to offer the Niners, I don't know, the 10th, I think that's Niners have to long consider that. If the Jets can offer them the 34th, they have to consider that. it's a really interesting team because of the connections to the 49ers, both on the offensive and defensive side. Another team that I think would be someone that I would consider is the Saints, who have the 16th and the 19th pick. Those are two very good picks. And I don't know if you package those or you offer one of those, but gosh, it'd be an interesting thing to see him with Michael Thomas on one end and him on the other as far as powerful wide receivers go. And you can go right down the list. I think the Niners were not expecting to have these conversations as recent as, the combine, but here we are. And if he's demanding a trade, phones will be ringing.
It's an interesting thing because of Deebo. Ed Werder just tweeted out, and there's a lot of Deebo information hitting the internet right now, obviously. But Ed Werder just tweeted out that from ESPN Stats Info, shout out Hembo and him, wide receiver Deebo Samuel accounted for 28% of the 49ers scrimmage yards in 2021, the fourth highest rate in the NFL after Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, and Cooper Kupp, right? So that is probably being a part of the entire thing, and that is also him being a part of the run game with 60 rushes last season. I would assume, and with the way you're talking about old Darby, the CAA agent who's repping them all, I'd assume that he's like Tory Danby. Yeah, there it is. Tony Darby, Tory Danby. That's 420. I apologize, pal, but great name, great business. Whatever you do, I hope you make everybody all the money in the world. It sounds like that's what you're doing, but you could see how they would want to be paid for that because of the amount of hits and body that he's going to take as a running back. I'll be intrigued to see what the Niners want to do. Then there's obviously
and paid now. Like, here's why: because Deebo came in his prime physical shape in 2021 and delivered on every expectation. Like, I'm not saying he won't be as good next year, but we don't know what Trey Lance is going to be. We don't know what that offense looks like without McDaniel.
Could that be part of his dregs?
I don't know. I just feel like this is like, I don't know if his value is ever going to be greater than at this moment, right now in time. And, you could say, well, watch, Deebo Samuel's going to tear it up again next year, and he's going to even be better next year, and they're going to rely on him more. But I do know this. On a hand, you could fit 4 players, maybe 5, that were as good as Deebo Samuel in the NFL in 2021. I don't know if that's the case in 2022 with all the changes in the 49ers offense.
Well, I think the other 3 that I just mentioned there probably the top 4 there. And then you had, Devontae and Tyreek Hill getting what they got. That has to reset the entire wide receiver market. Deebo sees that, sees what Christian Kirk made, and then he also
Stephon
Diggs get broken off. Then he also sees like some running back numbers. He's like, "Oh, I'm better running back than that motherfucker," and that dude right there, and that dude right there. So this is what we're thinking. That'll be interesting to see how the Niners kind of, because you're going to have to sweeten the pot somehow if they want to make that deal because, it's being reported now by Spotrac and everybody else that understands the name of the game in the NFL. With the new CBA, Deebo can't hold out. Like, he has to show up. Like, he has to show up. That's a new thing. Like, hold in is what everybody's calling it because they have to go. Because a year can get lost from being accrued, and that fucks up the entire contract. And the fines are so heavy in the new CBA, they wanted to get rid of holdouts. They hold all the leverage.
And they can't. In the new CBA, just for your listeners and your viewers, it's like the new CBA. They used to do this deal where you hold out, we'll give you a deal under the table, we'll pay you that money back. The new CBA prohibits it. Like, if you hold out and you're fined X amount of dollars, like, it is against league rules now for the team to under the table say, all right, look, we'll pay you back tenfold. We'll give you that money. Like, don't worry about it. You missed a couple of days of training camp. We got you. We're all good. Like, they can't anymore.